On to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Do not bother children when they are skateboarding.
Security.
What that mean, you say?
Again, what's the metaphor? It's like, but then taking back, like up until this point, the rules, if you just read them, like 1 through 10,
they all
like they're good.
Yeah,
they make sense. He's got additional information so that you can get that rule into context. Mm-hmm. But this is just one of those rules, like it's all in the context. This and the next rule as well. So yeah. So
this one's got a lot of those Disney movie stories that he just breaks down Snow White and Ursula and all this stuff. And
he's versing that.
I was like, what? Snow White, is that the apple or what is? I don't even know.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the way he kind of leads out with the chapter. Is like, why do children skateboard? You know? It's like they skateboard because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
fun.
That's why they do it. You know, it's like, why aren't they wearing protection? Why aren't they protecting themselves? It's like, because that defeats the point.
That's not fun.
It's like, I wouldn't even say fun. Like, it's fun. But at the same time, we are all looking for something, right? Like he talks about that whole thing about being in balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to put yourself in danger. You got to put yourself in a situation where you can be tested.
Yeah.
You got to test the limits. You got to know the limits of the world.
Yeah. So he's talking about that story, and I forget, I don't know if it was in Canada or wherever he was. He's like, they took all the playgrounds, and next thing you know, the kids are on the roofs of the buildings.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do this stuff, they're going to figure out some way to do it, to get there.
Yeah. And that's part of life. I mean, especially for young little boys. I don't know. Girls, maybe not always so, but it's just, that's how it is. Like you're trying to find ways, you're trying to find things that are going to push you out there, and that's part of life. It's part of growing up, especially for men, especially men who grew up in the time that we grew up. That's what it's about,
Those are things we did. I mean, that was normal life.
Yeah.
Running around outside and doing tricks and getting crazy on the bikes and running this, that, and another, and
skateboards, all that kind of stuff. That's basically what it's about. You got to get out there and adventure your life, right? Like going back to the whole thing about rule 5, don't let your children do things that make you dislike them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you're going to get out there and shelter them from the world, like they're not going to know the limitations of the world because you're right there behind them, stopping them from experiencing it.
Right. And that's the thing. When I was teaching Titus to, ride his bike, he didn't care to ride his bike until just, I don't know, maybe six months or so ago. And I mean, he's 7. I think maybe it was just.
Is that when you take the training wheels off?
No, even with the training wheels on, he never cared to ride a bike. He would get frustrated with the process of pedaling, and he just never. I just kind of let it be. Like you're eventually, but. He wanted to go for a bike ride, and we went for a bike ride, and I was like, hey, how about you think about if I, kind of push those training wheels up a bit? And he's like, I guess I can give it a try. All right. So I tried to push them up a little higher so you'd have to balance more, but they couldn't go any higher. So then I was like, listen, man, I'm just going to take these off and let's work on this.
Yeah.
And then, watching him fall and scrape his knees and stuff. And it's just like, I just want to, let me help you out a little bit, but I just have to stand there and just be like, it's all right, bud. You're going to fall. It's okay. Just get up, run, do it again. You're going to get the balance. You're going to get it. But sometimes it's hard, especially as a parent, to just sit there and just be like, it's all right, bud. You're going to get it. You're just going to keep falling. It's all right, and not intervene as much as you want to.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Children have to make their own mistakes. There are times when you don't want to let that happen. There's times when you shouldn't let that happen because they're endangering themselves,
right,
and other people.
Mm-hmm.
But there's many times when they're going to make mistakes, and as a parent, you have to watch and see how they handle that situation.
Yeah. That's when you have the opportunity to little course correct, like, oh, yeah, I know that was a little little tough, little hard. How about maybe if you come across this again, try this little angle, try this little thing, and maybe try doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
definitely give them pointers, like give them tips on how to do it for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, the whole thing is part of the process, like learning the process. That's what they're doing when kids are out there skateboarding. They're learning processes. You know,
you don't want to become lunch bucket.
Oh gosh, lunch bucket, dude. I don't know what it is about that story, dude. I
love that story. That brings back so many memories. Oh man.
Anyway, so I guess I'll share this one. This is one of my favorites. So lunch bucket, right? Like this new guy on the job, right? And anybody who gets new to a job, there's a little bit of haze that goes on, right? So
especially as a male.
Especially if it's a male, yeah. So he was carrying this fancy lunch bucket, right? Everybody else had a brown paper bag, but he's got this fancy lunch bucket that he's bringing in. Looks like his mom packed his.
He probably did.
Yeah, you know. So that's initially how he got his name, right? Like lunch bucket, like that's the first day. But eventually, as time went on, this guy, as his work ethic started showing throughout the day, like he bitched about everything. He had a bad attitude. He had poor work ethic. You know, anytime something came up, he's like, it was somebody else's fault. You know, oh, so-and-so did that. That wasn't my work. You know what I mean? He wasn't that person you wanted to be around.
Right.
You know? And so eventually what happened, you know, they were working in a hard hat area. And like when he was working in his area, like guys would like pick up little tiny pebbles and like throw them at his hat and like, bink. Like you hear a little thing, he like look up and like everybody's working. And like when he went back to work, like everybody else just kind of like snicker on down the line, like, you know, and it's like, it's just got that little haze over there, you know what I mean? And like just things went on. He didn't just get hazed about his name. Like he just started getting picked on and threw pebbles at him and the guy quit. Like, you know, but I don't know, man. I kind of resonate with that story because like, I don't know. I mean, again, take that back. I'm not trying to say you should bully people and all that kind of stuff, but you got to imagine, like, when I grew up, there was like a code. Like, there was like a man code amongst men that happened. And granted, I am kind of with the times. I don't know, Tyson, you probably not with the times. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Well, more or less. You know, and that's the thing, like, he talks about, especially in his chapters, like, that's part of the male, especially the male ritual for 10, 20, 30,000 years.
That's true.
Do we know what's going to happen if we bring that to a grinding halt?
All right, Mr. Slippery Slope. We're not there yet. Again, like I was saying in previous rules, I'm a firm believer. I do feel that we're tilting away from that, but I'm a firm believer that the market will correct itself.
Yeah.
And we're going to go back in the other direction. That's the cycle of life.
Right.
It all is going to come back. But I definitely think that he does a good job here of expressing male code and why it's important. You know what I mean? He's got that quote there. He's like, are you tough, entertaining, competent, and reliable? Yeah? If not, go away. Like, that's just it. And then everybody else there is there to work.
Yeah.
You know, and this lunch bucket guy is here. He's got his lunch made basically better than everybody else.
Yeah.
He's coming to work with a bad attitude. Everything else is everybody's problem. He's just complaining about life. Like, nobody wants to be around that.
No. Slowing down production, slowing down the works,
you know,
bringing down the mood, bringing down the morale.
And that this kind of just anticipates off of Rule 5 again. Like, if you don't correct things in your child, society will. Like, you know, they just threw pebbles at his head. I don't know what else they did, but like everybody knows about that guy. Like, everybody.
He only worked for 3 days, and he's immortalized in a storybook now.
Yeah, but that's just it, right? Like, and I remember a 7-year-old boy saying, hey, I wouldn't quit my job. I would just ignore them and keep my job, right?
Yeah, that's what my son said. It was like, blew my mind. I was like, exactly.
You know?
Like, it was so, he just, like that, he picked up on it.
Yeah.
It's like,
But
damn,
see,
exactly.
that's the whole thing, though. It's like, I truly believe that, you know, number one, that was society's way of correcting the situation.
Yep.
You know, as cruel as that may be. But number two, those men wanted the best for Lunch Bucket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just goes back to the whole thing about the Baywatch thing. You know,
Yep.
Dwayne Johnson's character like wanted the best for Zac Efron's character.
Yep.
You know, and that's just part of it. Like,
Yep.
you have this code of behavior, and you're not with that code of behavior. You're acting outside of that behavior. You need to correct that. You know,
Exactly.
but it's just kind of, you know, that's the kind of thing. Like, if you're in the market for to be married or have a girlfriend and that kind of stuff, like, women want supporters. They want people who are going to be there, right?
Right.
Talk about it, right? Are you entertaining? Are you tough? Are you competent? Are you reliable? Like, these are all things that women look for in a mate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you're the top lobster, these are the characteristics you have. When your serotonin levels are high,
Yeah.
characters you have.
And it's like, that's just all part of life. And like, you know, I'm more forward with the new thing, but this brings the basis, right, of what society has been for the past, however, ever since.
Right.
Like, that's how it was, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just
It's
kind of
like, I mean, sure, you know, is there a new school element maybe of race and these types of things that we can eliminate? Sure. But the fundamentals of these things, I want to be cautiously optimistic that I think we got to be careful with eliminating some of these.
We should preserve some of them. We shouldn't eliminate them altogether.
Especially these male ritualistic behaviors. Yeah.
Right. You know, but then that just comes back down to, like you were saying, like, you can't handle the truth. Like, you know, that movie, Few Good Men, right?
Right.
Like, these are all prime examples. Like, that was a great example. Like, you're damn right I ordered the code red.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, his interest was in the best. Like, he wanted to put that soldier in line.
It was absolutely necessary for the greater good of not just that company platoon, the soldiers, but possibly, you know, the mission that they're on or something like that. That affects.
For those of you guys know what we're talking about the movie A Few Good Men.
Right.
But anyway, you know, and it's like, he's the bad guy in that movie, yet, you know, he's trying to do something for that soldier, for the whole platoon, for the whole Marines.
Right.
You know, like, he's trying to keep the code there, that code of behavior that's being held by that lunch bucket, or, you know, even Full Metal Jacket, right? Like Private Pile, same thing. You know, it's like, you have that one person that's just, you know, he's just foobar and
just fucking up. Like, is this a donut, Private Pile? Is this a donut? Like,
you know, but you know, if that's not corrected, you know, catastrophic things can happen.
Yeah.
You know, for that individual, and sometimes, unfortunately, for other people as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You've got to, you've got to hold the line. You got to hold these standards, because especially, you know, a lot of times, you know, these standards and these things, they slowly start to degrade a little. Like, oh, we'll let this slide a little. Oh, okay. Then we let this slide a little, and then we let this slide. And next thing you know, your standards are so low, you know, it's just horrible.
I think a lot of that comes out with the school system too, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what he alludes to too, is like more women go to college than men, right?
Right.
And that's just because men just don't do well in that environment, right?
Right.
In schools, they want to take skateboards away, right? Schools, they want to limit your behavior, right? They want to limit what you can do, what you can say. And just naturally, right, through men's code of behavior, we don't want to be a part of that. I don't know. Right.
And he alludes to some other things. I'll let you guys kind of read it about, you know, oppressing males and stuff like that. And we've got to, you know, kind of be careful about that. He does a real good job of articulating that, way better than I understand. But I would encourage you folks to read about that.
Just got a lot. But, you know, ultimately, you know, the whole thing about children skateboarding is they are trying their best to stretch their understanding of the world, right? They're trying to put one foot in the chaos. They're trying to comprehend something that they can't understand.
Yes.
Right? Something that they are. And there's a, you know, it goes into that story about the code of other men trying to hold you to that, you know what I mean? Whatever that is. But I kind of want to end this section with one of his quotes too. Like, You know what I mean? Like, if you think tough men are dangerous, wait until you see what weak men are capable of. Leave children alone when they're skateboarding, you know? Like, that's real.
It is. And that's a scary thought to think about, man.
Right? Like, what are weak men capable of? Like, again, not trying to take people to that dark place, but we've had a lot of recent unfortunate events that happened because weak men took things to another level.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's got, I forget which chapter it is, but he talks a lot about that and kind of the reasons why those types of, you know, tragic shootings are happening, you know, and this is a little bit a part of that.
Yeah. One that's a good argument, you know? Yeah. It's definitely a good argument. You know, I'm not saying that all of us need to be tough men out there and go bully people around, but
yeah, I know. I'm not talking about necessarily bullying people, but
you know, there's a fine line between bullying somebody and being like, hey, you know what I mean? Like,
and that was the thing I really kind of resonated with too here at the end. He's talking about, you know, if they're healthy, women don't want boys, they want men. They want someone to contend with, someone to grapple with. If they're tough, they want someone tougher. If they're smart, they want someone smarter. They desire someone who brings to the table something they can't provide. This often makes it hard for tough, smart, attractive women to find mates.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's a good rule.
All in all, you know, not trying to think about what the consequences are of not following the rule.
Right.
But just in general, you know, outside looking in, you see something that may appear to be not right or in your mind, like just take a step back for a half a second and be like, what's going on here?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are we put, you know, as he put it, are we going to put skate stoppers on these planners?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we just going to let them skateboard and kind of discover things that's going on? Like, it's been crazy.
Yeah. It's a good rule. When you get down into it, it's a weird, ambiguous title, but it's a really good rule. And there's some things in there I think we've got to allow society to correct, like that's going to happen, but we've also got to
just be aware.
Yeah. Be aware of that. Yeah.
You know, there are consequences for taking things into, you know, the lighter side and letting, you know, being helicopter parents, doing all these things. Like there may be consequences for that. And again, I'm a firm believer that things will turn around.